Let's go to the Shadow Resources Minister now, Susan McDonald, joining us live from Brisbane. Thanks for joining us, Susan. First up, more electricity price increases. It just seems unfathomable that a government would suggest more renewables is the answer when it's the push to renewables that's causing the price increases.
It's extraordinary, isn't it, Chris? It's really doubling down on this all eggs in one basket approach. And now we're seeing the thought that we will have to import gas into Australia because of the failures of this government to address the important matters first. I think this is an absolute disaster for Australians, and it's thanks to Labor that Australians' cost of living crisis is driving along ever harder and ever more impactful.
Well, the problem is, of course, that people are hurting so much that Labor spent $3.5 billion on electricity rebates. They're running out soon, so people are going to get stuck in the neck when they run out with an even bigger electricity price increase. Surely in this budget we're going to see Labor spending another $3 billion or so to try and keep these prices down.
Well, we always knew that Labor would be big spenders and big taxers. And that's what we're seeing more of. I mean, imagine taking your taxpayer dollars and then giving them back to you as energy price relief at the same time as driving up energy prices. This is the government that said on 97 occasions, this was their signature election policy. They were going to reduce electricity prices by $275. And yet we're looking at hundreds more dollars increase that's just been announced now. It is absolutely appalling, and just another example of a government that really doesn't know what it's doing. It's floundering, it's weak, it's woke, it's wobbly kneed, and we're seeing that hit Australians in the hip pocket in a country that has more coal, more gas, more uranium than most other nations on earth. So it is absolutely unbelievable that we should be having an energy crisis in this country when we are so blessed with an abundance of all of these resources.
Well, no one's going to build a new coal-fired power station, and it's hard enough to keep the existing ones going when they know they're being forced out of existence. So obviously the answer is gas. We need more gas-fired generation, regardless of what happens with renewables or nuclear. How quickly can you get more gas-fired generation into the system and extract more gas from around the country, because there's stacks of it here. We're the biggest exporter, one of the biggest exporters in the world. How quickly can you get that done so that prices can come down?
Yeah, well, I would just point to our track record that after the ADGSM was introduced in 2016, we saw companies go to the Bass Strait, go to the places where it's 100% domestic use of gas to start new projects. And what's happened? Well, they have seen delayed approvals. They have seen approvals sit on the minister's desk for nearly a year. We're seeing more employees go into the approvals process, more government bureaucrats, slower processes. So we know that there are projects in Victoria and offshore in Victoria that can come online, but there needs to be a sense of urgency. And we're not seeing that from this government. We're seeing them talk down gas. We're seeing them say that they want to see less gas because that will stop people investing in wind and solar. You know,
it's insane. It is insane.
Sources.
It drives me nuts every day. It's national self-harm on a grand scale. We'll keep on it. I just want to get you quickly on the tariffs. Australia missing out on that exemption for the steel tariffs from Donald Trump. Have a look at this clip where we find out that Penny Wong only learned of this basically through the media.
Did you find out about this through the President's press secretary yesterday, along with the rest of the world?
Well, that was when I first heard confirmation of the reports.
This is extraordinary. She's the foreign minister and she finds out about this through television.
Well, Chris, this is an example of a government that doesn't respect democracy. When the coalition was in government, before the changeover to President Trump the last time, they had built relationships with both sides, both the Democrats and the Republicans, to ensure that Australia was well informed with what was the needs and sensitive points for an incoming government. But what we've discovered is that the ambassador is not Australia's man in Washington. He's Labor's man in Washington. He did not know what the sensitivities were for this incoming administration to have communicated it back to this government. So this is a failure of the Prime Minister's judgment on appointing the ambassador. And so in the last week, we saw Chinese warships in our waters. We saw the President not taking a call from our Prime Minister, and at the same time, one of our greatest trading allies in Japan warning us that they would be looking to the US and others for future supplies of gas.
So if the coalition were to form government after the election, quick, smart Kevin Rudd would be called back and you'd send Scott Morrison to Washington?
Look, I can't talk to you about who the ambassador to the US would be, but I can tell you that previous foreign ministers like Julie Bishop, like the ambassadors that we've had previously, they had relationships,
Yeah,
but
all right.
we were able to negotiate with our partners.
Susan, thanks for joining us.